Hey everyone, this is Hannah. I am one of the coaches here at Set Free. Today I wanted to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is mental health in the church. I think this can be kind of a controversial topic. It's maybe not controversial, maybe just taboo. I know that in the recent years there has been a lot within the church that has been done about mental health, and that's amazing. And I think that even though that there is a lot of forward movement, there is still so much to do. So let me start talking about some of the myths, some of the things that I've heard being in the church, and I know everybody else has had to have heard at one point, and how it can be misconstrued and kind of like pushing mental health and mental illness to the side. Let's start with the phrase, well, have you prayed yet? Or just pray it away. It'll go away. Just pray about it. And while prayer is so important, prayer is one of the most important things in your walk with God. I don't deny that. I absolutely know that that is true. However, sometimes it is just brain chemistry. And the way that I like to think about this is compare it to physical health. So let's say you broke your leg. You broke your leg and somebody just came to you, instead of going to a doctor, and someone just came to you and said, well, instead of going to a doctor, why don't you just pray about it? And maybe God will make it go away. Now, miracles happen. Don't get me wrong. I've seen it. I've heard of it. I know God can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. So I'm not denying the fact that, hey, maybe it could go away, and that's awesome. But what if it doesn't? What if that person sitting in the crowd that day who struggles with depression hears that and goes, dude, I've been praying about it for years and it just keeps getting worse. Then what? And I think that it starts internalizing well, maybe I don't have the relationship with God. Because people say, oh, pray about it, trust God. Well, maybe I don't trust God. Maybe God's mad at me. Why wouldn't he be taking this away? It doesn't make any sense. And that's true. But I feel like that's the only solution the church kind of points to. It just kind of shoves aside the rest of it. But just like if you had a broken leg, you wouldn't just, obviously, yes, you would pray for the doctors and pray for all the people involved that you would get, and pray for healing and all of that. Absolutely. But you would seek treatment. God made doctors. God made casts. God made x-ray machines. God made all those things. So use them. Same with mental health. You know, sometimes we need the extra help with medication, and I will get to medication later in this video. This is another one of my favorite topics to talk about. But just know that just because you've prayed and it didn't go away doesn't mean you failed in any way possible. You have not failed. God is not mad at you. You're talking to God. That is amazing. That it helps you with your relationship with him. There's nothing wrong with that. And yes, things happen in his time. But there are other things you could be praying for too. Pray for the right therapist. Pray for the right psychiatrist. Pray for the right medication. Pray for guidance in all those things. Because he will come through with that. But sometimes, just like other organs in our bodies, our brains are an organ, and sometimes they get sick, and that's okay. But you need to go find some help for it too. And maybe prayer works, and that's amazing, wonderful. Not gonna knock that. But maybe it isn't working right away, or it's getting worse and it's getting in the way of your life and you don't know what else to do. Seek help. There's nothing wrong with seeking help. God made therapists, God made psychiatrists, God made medication. Let's move on to, well, I hear this a lot with anxiety. Some pastors say, or some teachers say, like, well, if you're anxious, you don't trust God enough. Now, maybe there's somebody out there, or it's you yourself, who's sitting out there who struggles with anxiety or struggles with any anxiety disorder and goes, so does that mean I don't trust God? Does my constant feeling of anxiety, all of my physical symptoms, all of the just stuff that has happened to me, so that means I don't trust God? Well, Maybe I don't have a relationship with God. Maybe I am a terrible Christian. All of those things can flood through your head. Just know that it is also just brain chemistry. It doesn't have anything to do with your relationship with God. You can have an amazing relationship with God and still struggle with a mental illness. You can have an amazing prayer life and still struggle with mental illness. There's nothing to do with your faith. And I think that is where there's a disconnect in the church. It's there, whether or not the pastors or churches mean it, I bet they don't. But it comes off sometimes as, well, maybe I'm a terrible Christian. Maybe maybe I'm not good, not right for this Christian thing. Whatever comes to their mind it just happens because it's not talked about. Now, let's go into one of my favorite topics, medication. Now, I know there are a lot of hesitations for medication, and I am not a psychiatrist, so I am not all-knowing in any of this, believe me. But I know that there are psychiatrists, and those are doctors who are there to help you walk through that process. And medication isn't for everybody, but it is something to think about when you are considering possible treatments to do. Psychiatrists are there to help you. And I know that before getting medication, it can feel like, well, I'm a failure. I had to have medication, so that means I've failed God, I've failed everyone. I've failed in my walk, I've failed in prayer, I have stooped low to need medication, or whatever goes through people's minds. And all of those are valid feelings, but it's not true. You haven't failed. Again, your brain is like an organ. It's like any other organ. Let's say you got bronchitis in your lungs. Your lungs are sick. And, if you went to the doctor and your doctor said you need antibiotics and you go get antibiotics, would that be any different than going and seeing a psychiatrist and struggling with depression and him giving you something to help you with that? There is no difference really between mental health and physical health. And I think that's where the lines get all kind of wishy-washy in the church, because nobody likes to talk about mental health, and nobody wants to talk about that because they don't understand it, and that's fine. I don't understand all physical disabilities. I don't understand all illnesses. I don't understand even all mental illnesses. However, I know that I'm not here to ask God why. Why did this? Because believe me, I am one of those people that is like, why God? Why? And, I think it's not my place to really know why. It's, it is what it is. We're here right now. And if you're struggling with a mental illness, let's get you help. And, medication may not be your thing. And I've heard also, well, I don't want my personality to change. That's fair. Again, I don't know anything about medications. I know not all of them do that. And that's what a psychiatrist is there for. He or she can help you kind of navigate what you want in your treatment and in your medication, if that's the path you choose. So I want everybody watching this to know, having a mental illness does not make you a bad Christian. Having a mental illness does not make you a bad person. Struggling with your mental health does not make you a failure to God. Struggling with mental health does not make you any less loved by God. God loves you as you are. You don't need to get all your ducks in a row. You don't need to change anything. He loves you regardless of your symptoms or regardless of how hard you're struggling. Please know that it has nothing to do with your faith, nothing to do with your relationship to God. It's just brain chemistry. And sometimes it shows up in other symptoms, in our bodies, and that's seek help, seek treatment, seek doctors. They're there to help you. And I just want you to know that you are loved, and we love you and Set Free, and we want you to find the resources you need. So if you ever have any questions, talk to your leaders on Tuesday nights or Saturday mornings. Email us. Talk to Pastor Jen. We're going to put some resources at the bottom of this video. Please seek help because you don't have to live like this. God doesn't want you to live like this. See you guys next time.